Imagine a scenario where a tech titan like Apple finds itself under intense scrutiny from the highest levels of government, leading to a monumental shift in its investment strategy. That's exactly what happened when President Donald Trump put pressure on Apple, resulting in the company's pledge to invest an additional $100 billion in the United States. This move is part of Apple's broader commitment to spend $500 billion over 4 years. As announced previously, the White House highlighted that this fresh investment would encourage more Apple components to be manufactured domestically, aligning with Trump's goal of boosting American businesses. Earlier this year, Trump had singled out Apple, threatening to impose tariffs on its products unless the company moved iPhone manufacturing to the U.S. Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, addressed the situation by referencing the company's earlier commitment and stated that Apple was aiming to do more. While Apple has been in touch with the White House regarding the investment announcement, the full implications of this move are still unfolding. Analysts predict that altering Apple's supply chain will require considerable time and effort. However, the company's pledge could potentially secure more favorable treatment from the White House, especially considering Trump's emphasis on fostering domestic investments. Following the news, Apple's stock saw a significant rise, increasing by more than 4%. In a statement, the White House emphasized that Apple's latest commitment was indicative of how Trump's policies were persuading companies to invest more in the U.S. Today's announcement with Apple is another victory for our manufacturing sector, aiding in the repatriation of critical component production to safeguard America's economic and national security. A White House spokesperson noted, "For years, Apple has predominantly manufactured its products in China. During Trump's first term, the company managed to avoid duties by agreeing to invest more in America, coordinating these announcements with the White House. However, things took a turn when Trump initiated a new tariff war in January, introducing a 30% tax on Chinese imports. In response, Apple has been adjusting its supply chain, shifting imports primarily from India and Vietnam, where tariffs are lower. Despite these efforts, the company still faced over $800 million in additional border taxes on its products between April and June due to Trump's broad-based reciprocal tariffs. Apple anticipates paying another $1.1 billion in the coming months, even with exemptions granted by the White House for certain electronics. With tariffs on Indian goods set to increase to 50%, Apple's concerns about tariffs are intensifying. Furthermore, the company is preparing for possible new tariffs targeting the semiconductor industry, as outlined by the White House. Cook, who donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee, was expected to make the investment announcement at the White House on the same day. During an investor call, he underscored Apple's deep involvement in the U.S. and its strategy of partnering with third parties for investments. He mentioned plans for a manufacturing academy in Michigan and a $500 million investment in MP Materials, a company focused on expanding rare earth production in the U.S. The U.S. government has invested in MP Materials and committed to a minimum purchase price for its output. Since his return to office, Trump has frequently highlighted significant investment commitments from major corporations such as Apple. However, analysts caution that the figures cited by Trump often appear inflated, and there is currently no evidence of a broader trend. Paolo Pescatore, founder of PP Foresight, commended Cook for skillfully navigating Apple through turbulent times, but acknowledged that it remains uncertain how this investment will affect the various components of Apple devices and their manufacturing locations. Given the current situation, it's unrealistic to assume that everything can be produced, manufactured, and assembled in the U.S. overnight, Pescatore stated. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this investment genuinely aimed at reshoring Apple's manufacturing, or merely a strategic move to appease the Trump administration? And this is the part most people miss. How much of this investment will truly translate into domestic manufacturing versus other forms of investment in the U.S. economy? These questions highlight the complexity of the situation and invite further discussion.